You think you're paying a medical bill? You're not. You're entering a debt supply chain. Because in America, your bill isn't a receipt. It's a product, a financial asset that can be packaged, marked up, delayed, disputed, outsourced, and eventually sold. Here's the part nobody tells you in the waiting room. The moment you get treated, the system quietly starts asking a different question than, how do we heal you? It asks, how do we turn this event into collectible revenue? And if you can't pay fast enough, your pain doesn't disappear. It changes hands. A hospital tries. Then a contractor tries. Then a collection agency tries. Then a debt buyer shows up, buys your $5,000 bill for maybe a few $100. And suddenly you're not a patient anymore. You're a margin. Let me show you how this works with a story so common, it's basically a genre. You slip on a wet stair. Nothing dramatic. No explosions. No Hollywood slow motion. Just a pop in your ankle and a ride to the ER. You're in pain. You sign what they put in front of you. You get an x-ray, maybe a boot, maybe a scan, maybe a doctor you never chose walks in for 3 minutes and says, you'll live. And then, weeks later, the envelope arrives. Not a bill, a riddle. Line items that read like a video game store. Facility fee. Level 4 visit. Supply charge. A $40 pill that costs $2 anywhere else. You call and ask, what is this? They say, that's the charge. You ask, based on what? They say, that's the policy. You ask, can I see the prices before I agree? They say, you already agreed. And right there, that moment, is the trap door. Because medical pricing isn't normal pricing. In normal life, you see a price tag, you decide, you pay. In healthcare, you consume first, and you get priced later. By a spreadsheet you are never allowed to see. That spreadsheet has a name. Charge Master. It's basically the hospital's sticker price menu, and it can be wildly higher than what insurers actually pay. So if you're uninsured, underinsured, out of network, or just unlucky, congratulations, you just got billed at the fantasy price. Now here's where the debt supply chain begins. Because that bill is not just a number, it's leverage. It's a threat. And for a lot of people, it's the first step toward financial freefall. So in this video, we're going to do 3 things. First, expose the pricing black box. Second, follow the bill as it gets flipped, outsourced, and monetized. And third, the part that actually matters. I'll give you a practical survival playbook so you don't get eaten alive by a system that feeds on confusion. Let's open the machine. Let's talk about the pricing black box, because this is where the entire chain gets its oxygen. Hospitals don't price healthcare like a store. They price it like a negotiation theater. There's a list price, the charge master. Then there are thousands of secret discount deals with insurers. Then there are government reimbursement rates. Then there are cash prices, if you ask nicely, in the right tone, at the right time, to the right person. So 2 people can get the same CT scan in the same building on the same day. And one pays $400, and the other gets billed $4,000. And the system calls that normal. Why? Because the bill is not designed to be understood. It's designed to be processed. A hospital bill isn't a consumer invoice. It's a piece of internal accounting that leaked into your life. It has codes, levels, facility fees, professional fees, and a special talent. It separates the moment you consented from the moment you learn the price. That time gap is everything. Because once the service happened, your leverage evaporates. Imagine going to a restaurant, eating the meal, and then the waiter says, we'll decide the price next month. You'd call the police. In healthcare, we call it billing. Now, to be fair, there have been attempts to stop the ugliest version of this. Surprise billing. That's why the No Surprises Act exists, a U.S. law that protects many patients from certain out-of-network surprise bills, especially in emergencies, when you don't get to choose who treats you. But here's the catch. Even with protections, the system still produces confusion. And confusion is the raw material of the medical debt business. Because most people don't go into debt from one clean, honest, clearly explained price. They go into debt from chaos. Multiple bills, different providers, insurance delays, denials. We covered it letter, followed by a we didn't cover it bill. And by the time you understand what happened, the due date is already behind you. That's when the bill stops being billing and becomes collections. This is the moment the hospital's incentives change. Hospitals don't want to be banks. They want to be paid. So they build a pipeline, friendly reminders, then final notices, then payment plans, with terms you don't fully understand. Then, if you still can't pay, they hand your file to someone whose job is not healthcare. It's extraction. Sometimes it's a third-party collection agency working on commission. Sometimes the debt gets sold outright to a debt buyer for pennies on the dollar. And that buyer now owns your problem. And when ownership changes, the tone changes. The person calling you doesn't care if your insurance messed up. They don't care if the bill is wrong. They care if you pay. Because for them, your medical crisis is inventory. So now we follow the bill as it enters the debt market. And once it enters, it learns a new language. Fees, interest, credit reporting, and leverage. Welcome to the part where it stops feeling like healthcare and starts feeling like finance. Because once the bill goes to collections, it can start affecting your life outside the hospital. Credit, loans, renting an apartment, sometimes even job screens. Now, here's what changed recently, and this is important. The 3 big U.S. credit bureaus made voluntary changes. Paid medical collections stopped appearing on credit reports starting July 1st, 2022. Unpaid medical collections generally can't show up until after a 12-month waiting period. And medical collections under $500 were removed from credit reports in 2023. That's the good news. The bad news is, larger unpaid medical debts can still show up and still hurt you. And the big federal push to remove medical debt from credit reports entirely? A CFPB rule was finalized in early 2025, and then it got knocked out in federal court in mid-2025. So yes, the system can still use your illness as a credit punishment mechanism. Now, here's the part that's genuinely cruel. Medical debt is often a terrible indicator of whether someone is irresponsible. People get sick, ambulances don't ask for your FICO score, and insurance paperwork is basically a maze designed by a bored sadist. But the debt market doesn't care about context. It cares about leverage. And collectors have leverage. They can call, they can send letters, they can negotiate. And sometimes, depending on the situation and local rules, they can sue. And even when they can't do the most dramatic thing, they can do something more effective. They can exhaust you. Because the medical debt business runs on a simple fuel, most people would rather pay something, anything, than live inside constant pressure. So the incentives become obvious. The more confusing the bill, the more likely you'll give up and pay. The more stressful the timeline, the more likely you'll pay. The more your credit feels threatened, the more likely you'll pay. This is why medical debt becomes profitable even when it's bought for pennies. The buyer doesn't need you to pay the full amount. They just need enough people to pay enough times. It's portfolio math. You're suffering, diversified. And the truly sick joke? Hospitals and debt buyers will often tell you they're just trying to recover costs. But in a lot of cases, the price you were billed was never the cost. It was a starting position in a negotiation you weren't invited to. So when you get squeezed, you're not paying for healthcare. You're paying for the privilege of being the easiest person to charge the most. Now, I'm not telling you don't pay your bills. I'm telling you this. If you treat a medical bill like a normal bill, you will lose. Because it isn't normal. It's a system. And systems have exploits. So in the final section, I'm going to give you the playbook. What to say, what to ask for, what to never admit, how to slow the machine down, and how to protect your credit and your sanity. Because the goal isn't to be a good patient. The goal is to not become inventory. All right, here's the survival playbook. Practical, not inspirational. Step 1. Slow the machine down. If you get a big bill, don't panic pay. Ask for an itemized bill, not a summary, itemized. You want every code, every charge, every date. Because errors happen, duplicates happen. And once you see the list, you can actually question reality. Step 2. Ask for the self-pay or cash price. Hospitals often have different rates than what they initially send. The first bill can be a starting offer, not a final truth. Yes, it's insane. Yes, that's the game. Step 3. Check financial assistance, even if you think you make too much. Many hospitals have charity care or hardship programs, and the eligibility rules can be wider than you expect. Ask, apply, and get the decision in writing. Step 4. If insurance is involved, treat it like a dispute, not a conversation. Document names, dates, reference numbers. Appeal denials. Ask what code was denied and why. Medical debt loves paperwork gaps. Don't give it gaps. Step 5. If collectors call, don't confess. Verify. In the US, debt collectors must follow rules like the FDCPA. You can request validation of the debt. You can dispute inaccuracies. You can demand communication limits. And you should keep everything in writing. Because the most expensive sentence in medical debt is, "Yeah, I guess I owe it." Step 6. Protect your credit intelligently. Remember the current reality. Paid medical collections shouldn't appear on credit reports. There's typically a waiting period before unpaid medical collections appear. And small medical collections under $500 were removed. But bigger unpaid debts can still hurt you. So watch your reports, dispute errors, and don't let the timeline ambush you. And finally, step 7. Negotiate like you're buying a used car, not like you're begging. Be calm, be boring, be persistent. Ask, what's the lowest you can accept to settle this in full? Get it in writing before you pay a cent. Because the secret truth is, a lot of medical debt is priced like a poker hand, not like a product. And once it hits collections, the real price often drops fast. Now, zoom out. The medical debt business survives on 3 things: opaque pricing, administrative chaos, and your shame. So the most powerful move you have is simple. Replace shame with process. You don't need to be fearless. You need to be methodical. Because the system isn't counting on you being weak. It's counting on you being confused. And next time, we're going one layer deeper into the same machine. Not the bills, but the score that bills try to hijack. Next episode, the credit score game explained like you're 5. Why a 3-digit number can quietly decide your rent, your interest rate, and your future, even when you did everything right. If you don't want to be priced like a mistake, hit subscribe. Because the people who understand the rules stop paying the tax of not knowing them.